Oh, we're all here. We're here. We're here to party. Don't
we can
worry.
Take turns.
Yeah.
Some of us sit.
We're in Philadelphia right now. We're right next to Franklin Music Hall, the old electric factory. It has been since renamed to Franklin Music Hall because of a lawsuit. And we're the building right next door, same address, 421 North 7th Street. We're in a studio that was built out by the Roots in the 90s. And they vacated it to go do the Fallon show. But we're here now. We have their old space. The stripper pole stage is still set up in the other room. No joke.
Without the pole, though.
Yeah, they took out the pole, unfortunately. But we're working to get it back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good upper core exercise that we need for the, practice of the shows we do all the time.
Yeah. We need you to know.
The studio, this is not a normal studio. We
Calvin, definitely. Yeah, we like to yap for sure. We're definitely
we're yappers.
Yeah, we're yappers.
The lawsuit was sometime in, I think it was the early 2000s or something. Yeah, the electric factory. Who would have thought some other power giant had that name?
Yeah.
No, I switched over like 6 years ago.
Was it 6? Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, I think like all of you guys a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Yeah.
We definitely, we all had our break when we got off we had a almost 16-hour travel day, it felt like. And I was like, all right, we're all going to our respective places to see our loved ones and probably not talk for 24 hours. And then, we ended up just continue talking.
This is our first day back after a week off.
Yeah. So we have our breaks, but we're all very open with communication of hey, not feeling 100% today, so I might be a little weird. And we go, that's fine. Do your thing.
So is everybody based in Philly now at this point?
Sort of. I still am based in LA. These guys are, for the most part, all Philly people.
I'm Jersey.
Luke's Jersey.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be moving to Philly next year, taking the big steps. They proposed. I said yes. It's happening.
Oh. Is that proposal, part of the joining the band proposal? Has that been there since the beginning? Is that more of it sounds like a relatively recent decision?
Well, I've definitely, everyone has been so nice about me living on the opposite coast, and we've been able to make it work with me just flying in. But for the ease of everything and, writing together, rehearsing together, doing interviews like this together, it's just easier to be here, and everyone's been encouraging it. No one's been forcing it, and it's just kind of the right thing. And I love Philly now. So
we said, do you take the Eagles to be your lawfully wedded football team?
I said, go Birds.
Oh God, that's quite a commitment. You gotta climb a greased pole.
Oh, winter's gonna suck.
Philly's one of I'm a West Coaster myself. I'm from outside of San Francisco originally, so I had impressions of Philly before. I like Philly quite a bit now that I lived out here, but I didn't really know what to think of Philly until I actually moved out to the West Coast. So, how have your opinions of Philadelphia evolved over this time?
I love it. I know Calvin's new here too. I feel like Raina, who's kind of you've been here 10 years more.
Yeah.
She's really showed us the Philly way in the most homey, comfortable way possible. So there's no way to dislike this city after a Raina tour.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta yell "fuck you" at all the drivers.
I was gonna say, she taught me how to drive like a man.
Sounds suspiciously like the New York way. And Austin. That's really the entire East Acela corridor way.
It's not too far off.
Yeah.
Me and Cal lived in Brooklyn. So Raina and Nicole have been with us almost 2 years now. I think, me and Cal were hoping that they would join for 2 years, but they were hired guns for a tour in 2023. And then, we asked them, hey, do you want to do this full time? And it's been a little over a year now that they've been fully officially members. And so Cal and I were in Brooklyn previously. I'm not a city boy, but I definitely do like Philly a lot more than I like Brooklyn. And And so Philly's been really nice. It's nice to have trees, and the people are somewhat friendlier. They like to talk more, and we talk a lot, like I said, so it works out pretty well.
Take me through that sort of, I guess, transitional period. And that must have been, it's funny, like, it's the sort of thing that like has to be in all the press material around the album. And I suspect like when it's coming out, you anticipate that you're going to have to talk about this a little bit, but the album's been out for a little while. So that I guess like 1.5, 2 year period, obviously, it seems like it was pretty clear that the band was going to continue forward no matter what. So what was that courting period like for the two of you?
Ooh, that's funny. Courting period. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, it was a proposal. It started, it was a proposal,
Yeah.
right? So I'm just keeping with the theme.
So we knew Raina because we had worked with her boyfriend Joe Lee on a lot of music videos. Raina was actually helped out on a lot of them too. She's like in them as well, like her
the
forehead.
back of my head or whatever.
Yeah. So that starting.
And you're like that's our star right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's 2021. I think that was your first Happy Fits music video.
2021, yeah. It was filmed in my house actually. So
Yeah.
that's how we met. Masks on.
Yeah.
They did a little dance in my living room.
We did.
Yeah.
we were different people then too.
Yeah.
I was in another project for a long time, and that project ended in 22, and that summer, or
It was 23, right?
the summer of 23, they needed another guitar player for Lollapalooza, and asked me to audition because they knew that I also played music, and sent a little video in, and it all worked out. And my like third show in 1 week was like one of the biggest stages you could play for like a festival, Lollapalooza. It was really sick. And then they were like, "Yeah, this is a great fit. Do you want a job for the fall? Like, come out on tour with us?" And I love being on the road, so I was like, "Yeah, I don't know the next time I'll be on the road, so I'll say yes and do that." So it worked out.
And it was my first experience on a bus as well. And
Yeah.
yours, right? It was
Yeah.
all of our first like
Yeah.
bus tour because we had just been vanning it up since then.
Right.
So that was cool to be able to like really live together. And,
Yeah.
if it was a van tour, I don't know if we would have lasted, guys.
we dove head first. So
Yeah.
and it all worked out for everybody.
Yeah. Nico also auditioned. She missed the deadline by a day, but we were so blown away by
I
her
feel
shredding.
guilty about missing the deadline to this day. I don't know what.
Yeah, clearly he's bringing it up in interviews. He's clearly a sore spot for him still.
Something wrong with me at that time in my life where maybe I was self-sabotaging a little bit, but their managers, Kieran and Ayad, were also like my managers, and like they guided me through a lot of music on my own. And so I got the same call text situation as Raina, where it was like, "Hey, can you audition?" And then I did miss the deadline because I sucked. And then I think about it every day and how lucky I am to work with all of these, like, they're such amazing people too. And it's such a like good environment that I'm like, what is wrong with me? I
But it
missed
was
the
like-
deadline.
It's like a random deadline that we made
That they
up.
set.
Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't-
Arbitrary line.
Have you ever heard the phrase executive dysfunction before?
No, but I love that.
It's
Oh,
yeah. It's something that like just causes you to like put stuff off like that, and I suspect that it's something like that of just like even things that you're like eagerly anticipating, just like prolonging them because like
I think 85% of my brain is
yeah. I think I think that's fair. But it sounds like the management like at that point was really kind of doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as pulling things together for all of you.
Well, it was, when me and Cal, we had like the period where it was just the two of us and we were trying to figure out what was right. And I was going through a personal journey of struggling with alcohol. And so the first tour that they had together, I actually took a break and I did 90 days of AA and all of that and went through a real journey. And that was the first time that they truly got to be on the bus together, do all of that. And I did have a bit of FOMO, but more, I was able to come back and our first show together, as a band was Mexico City, and it was the biggest show that we've ever played in the band's career. And it was just such a magical time. And then instantly jumping on a Europe tour with them, like I had already known Raina and Nicole to be great, and Calvin's a very good judge of people. He's very sweet, and so I was like, he would probably tell me if they're not a great time. And they only presented lovely, and treated our fans beautifully, and it just felt right. And so when we went on the Europe tour, it was just really special to be like, oh, this is how it should feel. Having this open communication, and as a family and a band, you have to be open and communicate, and that chemistry needs to work, because ultimately, if it doesn't, we've all seen the millions of bands that have absolute crash outs and how devastating it is. And we all, I think, came from places where we wanted to just be clear and open with each other. And so we all kind of converged at a time in our life, different journeys of our lives all converged, I think, at the perfect time where it just clicked and it made sense.
You kind of, I guess, somewhat offhandedly alluded to this before. You said we were different people then when you were discussing that period of time, filming and filming the video in the house. What specifically, what do you mean by that?
I think, well, obviously me and Cal started this band when we were kids. I think I was 19, you were 18, probably, maybe even younger. And, the only way we knew of growing up was like through each other and on the road. And the road isn't really a great way to learn how to be an adult. It's kind of like a party in some ways if you take it that way. And we were children, and you learn through mistakes a lot. That was a lot of our, that was how we learned how to do stuff. And I think during that time, it was very easy to, through the craziness of being a DIY band and doing it all yourself, is you're in a van, you're staying in crazy Airbnbs, you're playing these shows. It was easy to get into the habits of, having a drink after the shows. And that started to spiral and turn into a more deeper and darker thing, at least for me. And especially when the pandemic hit, I think everyone kind of embraced a bit of that lax lifestyle, and it ended up being something that just didn't leave me. And so in 2021, when I was meeting Raina and all that stuff, it was kind of an internal struggle that I was having, but wasn't really open about it yet. And so it was kind of showing itself in other ways of maybe I wasn't giving my all to the band. And that's kind of why I needed that reset. But like different people, we were different times in our lives. I don't want to speak for Calvin's part, but we've grown a lot over the years, and especially these past 4 years have been really, I think past 3 years have been really, really important for us of understanding each other, and the stuff that we had been through and what Raina and Nicole came into and what we've been through as a band, and to be able to just have it be a healthy relationship is something that I guess I wasn't really used to in my life. And it was like waiting for the other shoe to drop always. And that, is something that I have accepted, is it doesn't have to be that way. So now I feel like I can kind of live up to the name of the happy fits for the most part.
So Calvin, it was always just an understanding on your end that Luke was coming back.
Yeah. The conversation we had like right before we decided he was going to take a break, before that fall tour in 2023.
3:17 p.m.
Sorry, my watch.
We had the talk at 3:17.
Right time.
It was the hardest conversation I think I've ever had in my life.
We cried a lot. I was still in I was in a mode of trying to get sober, and it just wasn't happening. And I was ultimately, I needed an ultimatum. And the ultimatum was, you need to take a break and you need to go figure this out. And he told me, you need to love yourself and I need you to love you. And I never really heard that before. And I always thought, I need to get better for these other people. I don't need to get better for me. I was never thinking of me first. I was thinking of the people I was affecting. And ultimately, it sounds silly now, but you help yourself, and in turn that benefits everyone if you're just a better person and you love yourself. And so I didn't really hear that. I didn't think of that way. And it ended in, I was trying any way to clamor of like, hey man, I want to go on this tour. And he was like, I need you to love yourself and I need you to figure this out. And so I did. And I trusted him full-heartedly. And I knew that Nicole and Raina, when they sent their auditions, I think I listened to 5 seconds and I was like, they're in the band. And I had already made my mind up. I was like, I just hope they're nice people. But I was like, the talent's there. They're like insane.
We actually bully Luke every day.
Yeah, but I need it. It's good. I need the bullying. They tell me to eat breakfast in the morning is basically what it is.
Yeah.
So they're care. It's care. But yeah.
Calvin, what specifically did you mean by that? Love yourself.
I think basically I had seen Luke every time he would fall off the wagon, it would always be a discussion of, oh, I just like have this anxiety of not wanting to disappoint you or disappoint my family or my friends or the fans. And there was never like a inward introspection of disappointing himself and realizing that once he like healed himself or once he like found himself under all the layers that he was hiding under with the drinking, that that there's such an amazing human being under that I loved and all the fans love and his parents love, and like that. I think
Don't make me cry right now.
Yeah, but it starts there. Like you can't impact your community if you don't have a understanding of yourself or your own needs. Yeah.
Raina and Nico, like, so you're coming into not just like an existing band, but this is like a lot that you're suddenly like not only are you like coming and playing, Lollapalooza your first show, but like there's a lot of like interpersonal stuff going on with this group of people that all of a suddenly like you're kind of like shacked up with in the bus and riding across the world with.
I think that's just it's kind of the nature of the beast when you're dealing with bands. At least in my previous experience, like they're always a little messy, and people are complicated. Like you're never gonna get a straightforward picture of like, oh, this is just a band and we play music and we get together and it's fun. It's like, no, it's not always fun. It's hard. And there's growing pains in any kind of project. And I think, at least for myself, like I've come from a background of being able to kind of deal with those types of difficult situations and filter out the important stuff that's necessary for the job and show up, do a good job, and be there as a support system for the people around you, and hope for the same in exchange.
Couldn't have said that better. I feel like that's exactly it. And then you see, like, at least with Luke and Calvin, there's so much goodness underneath the circumstances that it was an easy decision to sort of trust that it would end up in the good place that it did end up in.
That open communication that you're describing earlier, what form does that take, and how intentional does it have to be?
I think it was just, at least in our previous, years, we didn't really talk about how we felt. It kind of was just like, let's just have fun and ignore the like problems that are building up, and it was avoidance. And
then you got girls in the band,
and and then it ultimately came to a head of like, hey, I had to figure out my shit, and I ultimately, through a lot of like the self-healing and stuff and AA, is like you really learn to open up. And so that open communication is also speaking your truths, and you have to be not only so vulnerable in a writing process and a creative process as a band, but like speaking your truth and how you feel is so important in that process, because we're all kind of opening our souls to each other, creating this music and putting each part of ourselves into this. And so like you kind of need that communication, because if you don't, then I think there's the reason that this album is so special, because it's so authentically genuine to Calvin and then to us of our parts, because we were so willing and open to communicate through this. And they were so willing to accept that I was, a bit of a cracked plate that was glued together at the time, trying to get back into it. And they were nothing but supportive. And obviously, everyone was coming from different times in their lives. And all, I wanted to be was, like Raina said, give back, to them as much as I can as they have to me. And so I think we all look out for each other in that way. And before, at least in my personal life and our professional, it was just kind of like oh, it's all good, man. And then it was kind of, that was it, there wasn't like well, what's really going on, so yeah.
I think it's so important for the job that we have, like as performers, as a band, a unit, to like come from a place of that, like you wake up every day, if you're on tour, for example, someone's not maybe gonna have a great day. Like that's the roll of the dice. You're gonna be tired one day, but like we all have to be showing up right before we play for 100% like capability to do the job the best that we can that day. And like talking about, oh, I'm tired today, I got a headache, whatever, don't feel good. Like that kind of stuff just makes it easier when you're like, okay, I need to show up a little bit more so this person can be okay as well. Does that make sense?
And Nico, you kind of like somewhat jokingly said, and then you got girls in the band, but is there like a sense in which like you just won't put up with their bullshit when it comes to them just like shutting down or like putting up a wall?
I mean, no. I feel like you have to be patient with each other. Like we're in a relationship with each other, just to continue the themes that we've proposal and courtship. But I think that you can't demand anything of anybody. We're all going to show up how we show up. And I definitely think having girls in the band and like there's something about the way that we communicate maybe versus guys would that ends up just naturally being more open. And maybe I'm reading this wrong, but it might like give some space for the guys to also participate in that and not maybe have to shut down if that's kind of what you guys have dealt with.
Yeah, that was something on the first tour that like we went on, that like I was talking a lot because I was going through a lot, and just having people that were willing to listen versus, with the old formation, how it wasn't that safe of a space to do that, or I didn't feel comfortable doing that. But you guys would actually like try to get more information out of me. Yeah, like spill the tea. I'd be like, oh, like you actually care. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was never, necessarily, I think, between me and Cal an issue of like we could talk to each other about stuff. It was more of just like we didn't know how to. It was just something that we weren't it's not something that we were taught, and it's something that you kind of like learn, and we had to like face hardships to be like, hey man, like what's going on?
It's just a part of growing up.
Yeah.
Be a better communicator. Yeah.
So, and like having, like I said, that space where we're all kind of like, we can have the hard talks of like, yeah, this is going on in my personal life, but outside of that, maybe I'm having an off day because of that. And they're like, hey, we got you. We're here for you. We understand. And yeah.
It is. And, and I'm like increasingly having this discussion with people, especially like post-COVID, about how, I know this is kind of like hacky to say, but how fewer and further between these kind of like interpersonal, in-person relationships that we have are now. It's harder to have those. And I think that like increasingly people are becoming more stilted and more shut down. So what you have is like, I know you keep, somewhat jokingly comparing it to relationships, but what you have is like really unique in that you are kind of like thrust together in that way, and that you have to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
I feel like a lot of this relates to, there's this show that we watch, right? I don't know if Luke's watched it. It's called Couples Therapy with Orna. And I honestly think
Not really.
learned so many of my communication skills like from that show in the past like 2.5 years. Like I love that show. But yeah, it all just stems from understanding your needs, how to communicate that to other people, and also how to like be able to not take things personally and understand that someone also has needs and that it's okay to have conflicting needs and there's a way to work through it.
And just going to therapy.
True, yes.
Therapy's great.
I think it can't be like understated the impact that Metallica documentary just had on like the music genre. Just like getting like the biggest meatheads together and having them sort of like sit down and talk through some of those things. What are some of those lessons though from couples therapy that really have helped with the band?
I think especially for me, because what she does every season is it's about finding out what from your past, your childhood,
Oh no.
here's the response that you have. So a lot of the time I had a problem with confrontation, and I realized that came from me being the youngest child and me not really having a say over my older siblings when they wanted things. So it was really hard for me in the beginning to be able to communicate like what I wanted without being afraid that I was going to hurt their feelings. So a lot of times I just keep it bottled up and realize now there's no way I'd ever get what I wanted by not saying what I wanted. So it's still something I have to practice daily, like not even just with them, but my parents, my other friends, like being able to just advocate for myself is like, very new to me, but I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and again, I'm like probably putting too fine a point on it, but this album especially was you were really using this as sort of a conduit to work through some of these things, and prior to, I don't know, I guess like finding yourself being more open, that songwriting was really kind of your outlet for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, there was a lot of sadness in all the change that happened in between 2023 and where the songs ended up being around 2024 when we finished recording most of them, and I think the majority of the songs on the record were like just catharsis, just being able to write about love, because it was my first time being single again in 7 years since I was a kid, and like being able to experience limerence and passion again was like, it was the best fuel for songwriting, and it felt so like natural and amazing. So through all of the stress that came with the breakup and moving out of Easton and into Brooklyn, trying to find my footing there, this album was just kind of always like a really bright light in my life. And then, there are definitely some sadder songs.
I've experienced this in my life a few times, and I'm like wondering how much, the rest of you find this relatable too, that it just seems like there's just something, and I don't know how much of this is kind of like self-fulfilling, but it really just does seem that like these things kind of come in clusters in your life, like
yeah, really convenient. Comes at one time and you're like, all right, well, I'm a wreck. But that's when you kind of find the people that really care and matter, and the gratefulness of the people that are in your life that are there for you when you need them. And my relationship with Raina, Nico, and Calvin is so much more open and honest than some with like my middle school friends that I've known forever, because they're just a bunch of dumb boys that like are finance bros, and then I don't relate to them in a way of just, I get to see them, I'm like, what's up, man, how you been? And it's like, we talk that way, but there's never like the deep talk of like, how's life, how do you feel? It's just like, oh, another day, another dollar, with them. But with this, it's like I could come in and I could be like, hey, all this stuff just hit, and they're like, we're here for anything you need. And if you want advice, we will happily give it to you. And they're really good at it.
I mean, I think that's right, because I think, to a certain extent, our childhood friends are kind of also just a product of like circumstance, right? I mean, they're also they're the people that we find based on where we end up, the people that we go to school with, and it's the friends like later in life that I always like qualify it as like finding your weirdos, right? I mean, once you kind of find that like those other people are out there, those end up being the people that you can really connect with in a kind of a meaningful and a deep way.
Yeah. No shade to my friends. I love them.
Someone's got to do finance out there. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's nice to have real talks, and that's part of the beauty of life, is to be able to talk about
We're
that.
a good group of weirdos.
We are.
It's funny, like it seems like the theme that I see kind of coalescing around the band is like is being thoughtful, but also like jumping in with both feet. Is that a fair assessment historically?
Yeah, definitely. You kind of have to with this sort of career. Like, it's either all or nothing. Like, how badly do you want this to work? Like, you can't be a half in, half out for this to happen. Like, Calvin and Luke have been working on this project for 8 years. 9 years? I don't know.
9 years, yeah.
And like, they're still at it. And
Yeah.
well, like, my dreams as a child was always to be a musician and a songwriter, and that hasn't changed. So it's always been gung ho, whether it be difficult or easy. So, yeah.
Nico and Raina, where were you at on that journey prior to joining the band?
The journey of like jumping right in, or?
Of like being all in on this music thing.
I definitely feel like my experience was a little different. I feel like music was kind of just for me on the side. It wasn't like I wasn't for most of my life. I wasn't performing. I actually got a DM from a friend in high school like a few weeks ago that was like, "Oh my God, you're doing this music thing. Like, I'm so shocked. That's awesome for you."
This is why you're missing deadlines.
Exactly. I think I was a perfectionist about it. So I like going back to the deadlines. Like, I think I was scared to be all in, and I really feel like this project kind of taught me that. But I started playing in bands in college when I was really just like, wow, it keeps giving me.
I don't know.
The computer's really proud of me right now.
We talk to the computer a lot too.
Yeah.
So.
They're like, keep telling your story. You can do it. Sorry. But yeah, I started playing in bands in college, and I think I couldn't really find myself in college. And once I started playing music with other people, I was like, wait, this is so fun. I had played guitar my whole life. It had always been like a skill that I had, and it was just nice to kind of experience it with other people. And so I played in my own bands. I was a hired gun guitar player for a while. I don't know, maybe not a while. It was a span of like 5 years of my life. And then
It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a while. Most of my 20s. And then I met these guys, and it was for a second like I was like, oh my God, this is scary. Like, if I commit to this fully, everyone knows I'm committing to this fully. And if it doesn't go well for me, or I don't get in the band, or the album isn't what it's supposed to be, like, you're putting yourself, it's just vulnerable. It's so vulnerable. And I think that was always a big fear. But then through being in this band, I literally am just like, fuck it. I will do anything. This is so fun. We get to connect to hundreds or thousands of people every single night. Like, we get along with each other. I feel like I have the coolest job in the world. Like, I just feel really, really lucky that I'm able to drop that side of me and my scared thinking and just be here and do the thing.
Luke and Calvin, I mean, obviously, like, this is, and you've gone over this a million times, but this is sort of a big part of the band's story in general. But I mean, do you get the sense that I know it's not healthy to like dwell in hypotheticals, but do you get the sense that, maybe the band wouldn't be here, or at least maybe not in a meaningful way, if you hadn't just gone all in the way that you did early on?
Yeah, we dropped out like basically
Literally dropped out. Yeah.
Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, my parents were thrilled because I was getting the dumbest possible music degree ever, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have to pay for it, and we love the music that you're doing." So, I instantly was ready to go for it. I think though, when you're young, you don't realize how much actual work it is. And that was part of the growing pain for me for a long time that Calvin was very patient with, that it's a 24/7 job, and the amount of work that you have to do, Calvin was shouldering a lot of it for a very long time. And he still carries a lot of weight. I mean, you see those arms, he's got to do a lot. But but yeah, we had to fully dive into it, and it's just an everyday thing that you have to work at, and it's scary. It's such a scary thing because it's a dream, but it can be, if an album flops, that's not an easy thing to recover from. If people are just like, there's a ton of bands that I listen to where I was like, I loved this song or I loved this band in this part of my life, and now I don't listen to them anymore. And it's like, that's our lives. This is our livelihood. And that's terrifying because it's, you have a career, you have a salary, you have a consistent job. There's stability in that. There's not necessarily stability in this lifestyle. And there's not necessarily a schedule either. So you kind of have to go all in with it, because if you don't, you're going to lose your mind, or it's just not going to work.
Well, you also have to love what you're doing. Because if you don't want to wake up and do it every day, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, what's the point?
Do you want to play guitar every day? Do you want to play drums every day? Do you want to play cello every day? Do you want to write songs about how you feel? If that doesn't satiate that part of your soul, then why are you still pursuing it? And it always has, at least for me.
Yeah.
I think that in-between phase in 23, 24, when you guys initially at least asked me to be a part of the project, I was riddled with anxiety to jump into something else, because something my band before this fell apart in a really terrible way. But I put my entire soul into that band, and then to do it all again, it's just like a relationship. It's falling in love. It's you got to risk it all to win anything. So or lose everything.
Yep.
And that's the gamble, and that's okay. If it doesn't work, you gave it a try.
Yeah.
This is literally the argument I had with my parents. I'm like, I'm gonna be fine. Oh my god.
It's very supportive just of you specifically. It's the ghost of the machine. You were alluding to this before, but that you don't realize what the risk is necessarily when you're younger, but also that's kind of the only chance you have is when you're younger. This isn't something that's probably going to come around for you again in a meaningful way.
Yeah, I thought I was going to graduate with a degree, get a stable job, and then slowly get into it in my 30s very safely. And then I realized no one cares once you get to your 40s.
You thought you were going to get into an indie band you were selling insurance or something? Is that?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'll get, I'll have a stable job that I can do.
He's gonna do all our taxes.
For what it's worth, Good Kid, the band, they do a pretty good job they all have jobs. They can go on tour safely. They have a really good,
There's everyone has their own, there's no blueprint to
for
this.
Sure. I was going to say, there's one hold steady they can do.
Yeah. Everyone has, I know multiple bands that, they're This Wild Life. They're two guys who live literally so far from each other. And to be honest, they work it is a very job. They're all right, we're going to write. And other than that, they're not necessarily buddy. They love each other and rag, but it's everyone has a different blueprint to how it works. And it's like Raina said, you have to love to do it. And the dream is it would be great if we could just spend every day here and we were just writing music. And it's but it's so much more than that. You have to just be so advocating for yourself in every way possible.
And you got to make TikToks.
You gotta make
it's important.
Which we have to do after this.
You gotta make some TikToks.
Yeah. And that's got to be one of the kind of the big overarching lessons from the pandemic, because I imagine, like, you know, the two of you and when you're a trio, you know, you drop everything, you go into this, and then all of a sudden the world shuts down. I mean, you know, you must have been kind of like contemplating things at that point, but that's precisely when you have to get creative, and that's precisely
Calvin got a degree then.
I did. I'm like half a semester away from finishing that.
But okay, so Calvin was considering Plan B at that point.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, well, the thing is, I had moved back in with my parents after like 3 years of like very, you know, shaky communication, because they were not very happy that I dropped out of school. So, yeah, when the pandemic,
They weren't happy that their Juilliard cellist son was...
he wanted to be a degenerate rock star. So, but it was like, it was a very holistic time being home for like the first few months. You know, I went back to school and we were hanging out, and then it went bad again. But after that, then I moved into like our rehearsal space basically, and then we turned that into like a live stream room. So I was sleeping in our practice space / workspace.
Insane.
And then that was actually what really kind of helped keep the connection with our fan base and like helped it grow throughout the pandemic, so that when we started playing shows in person again at the end of 2021, like people like were so excited to like actually get to see us in person.
It live,
because we were doing like a weekly like show where like I had rigged the drum kit to like a whole light kit and learned how to use DMX, so that when you hit like the snare drum, it would like make the lights on top like twinkle, and the kick drum would make like the other lights. Because there was so much free time.
And it was a way for fans that, you know, there was a bunch of people from all over the world. They're like, I'm tuning in from, you know, Spain. I'm tuning in from Australia. And like, they had never been able to have an experience where they could see us live. So it was a huge way for a lot of these fans to kind of learn who we were as people, and also be able to hear our music and hear us do things differently, and, you know, hear those, like, how the live difference is and us doing covers. And it turned it as a wacky weekly show. And Calvin then was, you know, doing his degree on the side. I was majoring in Moscato and Call of Duty. But it was a crazy time that really prepped us for a great chaotic time leading up to now. But like that pandemic, I weirdly would say, I think we made the most of it, at least that we could, as much as
we did a music video for every song on the record that came out. What could be better? That came out during the pandemic.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about that after our music video cycle, and a lot of music videos.
It was a lot.
Also, one thing I'll add about Degenerate Star Calvin is that there is a moment in our live show now where he gets to showcase the Juilliard chops, and it's easily one of my favorite parts of the show. I'm sure your parents, like, I mean, they're so proud of him anyway, but like,
things are great now between me and my parents.
I'm excited for them to see that. That's the Juilliard. That's the vibe.
Funny that like that allowed you to drop out a second time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah.
He did my taxes one year. It was great.
Was it?
Full service band member.
$7,000 in taxes.
I did them completely wrong.
But
I didn't do it wrong. I overpaid to be
You're a
fake.
freelancer, yeah.
He overpaid $6,000, but then I was like, sick, I got $6,000. And I was grateful for it because I probably would have spent it on Moscato at the time.
That was what I was.
It was. It was the long play.
It's called holistic accounting.
Yeah.
Look it up.
It was good. Yeah, he looked
Interventional accounting.
I said, ooh.